there's two things guaranteed in life. We're going to pay taxes and we're going to die. We're going to pay taxes. And so when we pay taxes, let's pay taxes on the right amount. And then we talked about the time earlier, right? So I want to hit on both of those because they both can cost you a lot of money. They're costing you money in your tax accurate. You're making business decisions throughout the year. What if you didn't hire that admin person because you didn't think you could afford it, but really your financials were just wrong? Like your numbers were wrong and you could have afforded it 8 months ago. We had a client who wasn't hiring because she thought she couldn't afford it. When we gave her accurate financials, she's like, oh my God, I could have gotten help so much longer. Like I'm dying and I could have had help months ago. So business decisions that you're making, and then your time is worth money.
Well, welcome to the Midwifery Wisdom Podcast. So glad you could join us. I know that we had to reschedule this a couple times. Here we are. We made it.
Yeah, no worries.
Welcome.
Been a crazy few months.
Yeah, we made it work. Let's start with introductions, okay? Will you tell us where you are, who you are, what you do, what you're all about? Give us that little download.
Yeah. Danielle, I am from the Midwest. I am here in super cold and snowy Ohio today. I am the founder of Kickstart Accounting, Inc. Started the business 10 years ago, and we help business owners understand their numbers so that they can make better business decisions. Really, the idea is that you can stay in your zone of genius doing what you love. And you guys have such an important job in this world. And we're here to support you in your mission by taking the anxiety and stress off of business owners' plates around bookkeeping and tax.
It's so awesome. And you're just speaking my language. This is so true. So this is what I tell midwives. I say, look, you know that spiel where we tell people that you really need a midwife when you give birth? Most of the time it's normal, but if something goes wrong, you really want that expert in your corner in those moments. Well, your bookkeeper is like your midwife for your numbers. And
oh my gosh,
they seem to really perk up when they get that because it's an analogy, right? So you speak my language too. I talk to midwives all the time about how you're a highly trained healthcare provider. You don't also need to have another job called bookkeeping. So I love that you're doing this. What made you interested in working with midwives and other birth workers?
We work with lots of different industries over the last 9 years, but we had a client who came to us a few years ago who was a midwife. And we just absolutely loved working with her. And, we really have a passion for working with other business owners who are passionate, giving back to the world and doing really important stuff in their communities. And so I think that what you guys are doing just makes such an impact in your community and in the world and in the lives of other people. And so we want to partner with other people who feel passionate about what they're doing. So our mission as a firm is to help other business owners be able to serve their community and help their community. And so partnering with this midwife community is a great match for our core values and for our brand and the mission, our bigger mission that we want to serve in the world.
That's awesome. We have such a big mission. I teach a series of classes around birth business because midwives that are in community-based space are basically entrepreneurs. They have to have all of this business acumen on top of the clinical skill of midwifery. And one of the things that I tell them, it's called the ABCs of the BBC. So the Birth Business Club is my kind of like teaching mechanism. And the ABCs are the things that they need to outsource. So we talk a lot about how we need midwives for our practice and our work as much as the mamas need us for their work. And so these are the positions that I think should be outsourced. Tell me what you think. So I think the A stands for administration and assistance. So like all of those phone calls, emails, faxing, filing, like all of that detail, plus like running the schedule and answering the phone and all those administrative things. I think midwives should not be doing that.
Absolutely not. I mean, you are trained and you don't need any of your training in order to do those tasks.
Exactly. Like those are whole other jobs. Like other people people do those jobs, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the B stands for billing and bookkeeping. I don't think midwives should be doing those jobs either, because they're really, really freaking busy doing midwifery. And there are experts who do those jobs. So I love to recommend outsourcing that.
And you know what? Can I just pause on that one? Because
Yeah, tell me.
it can really actually cost you more money in the long run by not having bookkeeping support. Not only are you taking the time and energy of your time to try to do the bookkeeping, you don't know how to do the bookkeeping correctly, right? And so when you go to file your taxes or make business decisions, you're making business
Yes.
decisions with incorrect information. You're going to
Yes.
file your taxes and you're overpaying in taxes because you don't have the right information. It would be like me saying that I could go and be a midwife. Like I can't, I'm
Right.
not trained.
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm like, leave that to the professionals. Like, let it be someone else. And bookkeeping is a huge component. And a lot of midwives don't understand that it's not just about keeping the books, like reconciling at the end of the month. It's also the invaluable guidance that you can get from a skilled bookkeeper about how to track things better, systems to install within your team so that they track things for you, end of year, quarterly reporting, all these things. And ultimately, if you get a good bookkeeper that you work with for a long time, they can get invested in creating your profit and loss and helping you figure out what you're doing well and what you could be doing better. So yes, I agree 100%.
Yes. Yes.
And then just for shits and giggles, the C is for cleaning. I don't think midwives should be cleaning. There are cleaners, like that's their whole job. And so, staying late on a Saturday to clean your office before the next week is like lunacy. And I just want to take that as the perfect example to kind of dive deep into this bigger picture business skill, which is understanding like what you have more of to spend, time or money.
Mm.
And when you really understand that that's your only choice in business, you only have those two options. Are you going to spend your time or are you going to spend your money? And when you realize that you can leverage your ability to make more money by saving time, and it seems counterintuitive, but it's actually true. So tell me more about how you save midwives time.
It's so interesting that this is how you have framed it because we are often one of the first hires for our clients. So often when our clients become entrepreneurs, we're one of the first people to bring into their business because most people know and understand that they're not a bookkeeper and that it is taking that a lot of their time and the energy. And when you are a beginning business owner, you are trying to do all of the things, right? You're head of marketing, your CEO, your CFO, your bookkeeper, you are the cleaner, and you are literally taking money to buy back your time for each person that you are hiring. And I mean, very simply, is the act of doing the bookkeeping. So a bookkeeper takes all of your transactions. You are out making money, you're out spending money, and your bookkeeper is staying behind the scenes. They're like this little orchestra, keeping everything organized as you're out doing your thing. And you don't even know everything that they're doing, but they're keeping everything in QuickBooks, organized, categorized correctly. And when we work with our clients, we serve as our clients' accountability partner. So yes, we're saving you all the time because you're not actually logging into QuickBooks to keep anything organized. But then at the end of the month, without you really having to do anything other than maybe answering a question or sending us a statement, we land in your inbox, sending you your financial statements and what we call a snapshot. It's like a CEO dashboard, high level overview of your numbers. Because here's where I also find that people spend their time. You do the bookkeeping, right? So you're spending all this time in the weeds. And then you realize, oh my God, I've spent 8 hours doing my bookkeeping and you're done, right? Like you've considered that box checked, but you never actually sat back down to look at your numbers like a business owner. And so you've never actually
Yes.
looked at them.
Yes.
So
Oh, I
now,
love that. The hat wearing, right? We have different hats. Keep going, keep going. Yeah.
no, thank you. Yeah, we do. So now you have to come back and you have to put on the hat of reviewer. You can be the one to review. Recording the transactions and reconciling, your bookkeeper can do that, but only you can review and reflect. So you need your bookkeeper to show up in your inbox, give you that CEO dashboard so that you can then put on your CEO hat and you can review the numbers and you can ask yourself what's working, what's not working,
Mm.
right? You get empowerment and you spend your time differently.
Yes. Oh my God. This leads into exactly the next thing I wanted to talk about was the difference between doing tasks and managing your business. So midwives get these confused. They're like, but I paid the bills, but I paid my salaries, but I did my taxes, but I finished the bookkeeping, but I billed the on the HICVA, like all the things that midwives put on their plate. Doing the task does not mean you actually finish the job, like you so eloquently said. There's this other piece. And this is the difference between someone who is month to month just getting by and someone who is actually excelling and even has a scalable business where they really get to earn their time back by working smarter, not harder. And so we have a free downloadable for you all. And we're going to put it in the description of wherever you're watching or listening to this. And this is my best stab at pulling apart three of the main hats that you have to wear if you're starting a birth business. So the three hats that I've defined is that you are that business owner, like we've been talking about, the only one that can review the numbers, make the high level decisions, the buck stops with you, basically, right? And the owner is business management, developing administrative protocols, hiring administrative staff and supervising them, supply equipment, ordering or stocking or decisions about what is being purchased, new staff orientation, administration manual creation, accounts receivable, accounts payable, employee documentation, HR, building cleanliness or maintenance if you're running a building, employee education, HIPAA management, advertising, PR, accounting, bookkeeping. All of this fits underneath your hat if you're the business owner. Now, lots of this we hope you delegate. Lots of this we hope you hire people to do, but this is where you make the decision, right? But then if you're a midwife in birth business, you actually have two more hats that you have to wear. The next one is the practice manager. You have to decide what protocols your midwifery practice is going to use. You have to have medical or midwifery supervision of other staff or students, supplies, equipment, purchase decisions, developing continuing education, OSHA, emergency drills, the manual, the policy and procedure protocols and guidelines manual, chart oversight, client education, equipment cleanliness and maintenance, student education and management, class content and other offerings. That's all under the practice manager. And then you're still a midwife, which means you're actually following those protocols and doing case management and knowing where all the equipment and supplies are and how to use them and orienting patients and following the manual and facilitating informed decision making with your clients and charting every encounter. Charting, oh my God, right? That's a whole other thing. Maintaining your own personal cleanliness and your phone and your vehicle and being on call and being available the way you need to. And then all the home visits, office visits, and births that you attend. This is literally three full-time jobs. And I think when you download this PDF, you're going to be able to really visualize what we're talking about here. In order to be the business owner, because we all went to midwifery school, so like we want to be midwives, right? You want to go catch the babies and do the things. But in order to be midwives, you have to dial in the owner piece. And a lot of big business, like birth business, they're growing, or like birth centers, they go in as a group to own the business so that everyone can wear a different hat and not be so overwhelmed. Or they end up deciding, I just want to be a midwife, I'm going to work for someone, or I just want to be the owner, I'm going to hire midwives. And there's no shame in that. I think that's really important to know, is that it's overwhelming, the level of responsibility. And so one thing I always like to make midwives think about, and I think you have a lot of examples like this, so chime in here, but I like midwives to think about their counterparts in medicine. So imagine you go visit a physician's office.
Mm-hmm.
Is the physician taking your payment? Is the physician, fixing the water heater? Is the physician sterilizing the instruments? Really think about that. And like, if their job is just as busy as yours, then all these other jobs you're putting on your plate are too much. So give us an example from some other profession that you work with where really, if your zone of genius is doing the thing, you have to offload some of this to other experts like yourself.
I think it's the superhero complex, and ego
Oh,
that we wear, right?
yes.
So we put on this
Tell the
cape.
truth.
We put on this cape.
Yes.
I
Yes.
need to do everything. I'm the best one to do it. Nobody
Mm,
does it like me. If I want it done right, I got to do it myself. It is really, I want to say there's no shame. Okay. If that's you right now, there's no shame. We all start business, and most of us weren't trained in the business part of doing our craft. It's the same thing here in tax. Like I sat for my CPA, and nowhere in CPA, in accounting school or studying for your CPA, they don't teach you how to run a CPA firm. So when people
yeah.
are getting frustrated with their tax accountant and their bookkeeper, to be clear, we didn't learn it just like you didn't learn it. And
Yes.
so it's our job as a business owner to level up. And what you just did was painted a picture of how we can level up to the next form of our entrepreneurship journey. And so I could go on and on and on in the different industries that I have seen this, but I'm going to go back to my experience. So I worked as a chief financial officer for mid-sized businesses before I started Kickstart Accounting. And in my work, the company I worked for was about $8 to $10 million a year in sales. My CEO that I worked for, I was providing him with financials every month for him to make business decisions. My board of directors, the investors in the business, they weren't coming into the business. They weren't coming in to clean the floors at night. They weren't coming in to lead marketing. They weren't coming in to answer the phone, to send the invoices, to do collections. So I know that we're smaller businesses here, right? I know I'm giving you a big business example because you're only going to grow if you start to structure your business for growth. When I started the business 9 years ago, I was right where you are, right? I was there too, but I had to keep on changing my mindset over time to know I'm not the best person for this. I can hand this to
Yes.
somebody else and they're going to do a better freaking job than I am.
Yes. Oh, that is such a great example. And I think sometimes, even if we're running a small business, you do have to scale out and think, I'm working in business, and this is the structure of business. It's structured around big business, and everyone has their role. And somehow it's really helpful if you think about the fact that nobody is doing all these jobs. There's a startup phase always, for sure. There's a startup phase. But once you get through startup, you should be able to have the systems in place to not exhaust yourself, right?
It's your responsibility. So I think that there's a softer side to running a business, and especially in this industry. But I like to flip that on its head. Okay. The minute that you decided to start accepting payments from customers, right? You have clients and you took money from them. And every
Ooh,
time you sign a contract with a vendor, you are promising to
ooh,
pay them, right? Whether it be your lease, whether whoever it is, right? You are signing
yes,
contracts and taking money. That is serious.
yes,
And I think that we forget about the obligation, the responsibility we took on when we became a business owner.
yes,
And when you start to do that, you have a responsibility to create the SOP, to create the framework, to stay in business. There's somebody counting on you. There are people counting on you to stay in
yeah,
business now.
yeah.
And that
Oh,
includes
that
that
is
burning out.
such a good point. Oh, I love that. I'm feeling this in my heart right now. That is such an important point. And I love how you're just driving home this reality. Like, this is your responsibility. Well, I heard one time, I don't remember who said this. Ooh, I want to try to remember the name, but I can't right now. But the quote is basically, we don't rise to the level of our dreams. We fall to the level of our systems, right? So, what you just said is SOPs. And I think midwives need to really get familiar with this term, standard operating procedures. And this is basically those systems that create the mechanism whereby something can be done again and again and again. It can be replicated, it can be handed off, it can be delegated, it can be reported back on. And it's a set way of doing something, anything. So, just to give you an example, in the career that you know, midwives, you have SOPs for how to run a prenatal. You may not have ever written it down. Your preceptor may not have ever written it down, but you have it. You meet a client at the door, and then the hour flows, and it flows pretty much the same way with pretty much every client. Certainly, there'll be someone who has an emergency and things deviate, Or there could be someone who's particularly verbose in their conversational situation. And so you have to figure out how to get around the folks who talk a lot. But pretty much your prenatal flows the same way every time. And then your students start to pick up on that, and then they start to anticipate what's coming next, and they can actually be a help for you because they understand the SOP of a prenatal. And so I think what you're saying is that we need to create SOPs in our business. So if I could put you under the pressure for a second, what SOP do you think is the first to implement? Like if the midwives listening now are like, okay, I get it. Now what do I start with?
So, as you're starting, I actually want you to rely on the experts to have some of your key SOPs first. So, remember, as you're
Yes.
starting and you're growing, your first hires are going to be experts. So, a VA executive assistant, a bookkeeper, your attorney, your tax accountant. Those people are people who should have their own SOPs. So, when you choose outside professionals, you want to ask the question, do you have a standard framework and SOP in which you operate? So here at Kickstart, every single one of our clients operates under the same chart of accounts. It is very specific that we do that so that we can perform all of the other important analysis. Every single one of our clients gets the same exact CEO dashboard because I believe that the person making $100,000 deserves the same information as the person who's making $1 million. Every single business owner deserves access to the same information. So everybody gets the same snapshot. So you want to ask your providers, do you have a framework? Are you working within an SOP? Because that becomes part of your process. So when we work with our clients, we are part of your process. You have your first operating procedure. You have your first set of frameworks by just choosing the right vendors to work with. From there, I could just speak to a little bit of my journey. I read the book Built to Sell. Have you read that?
Tell me more.
Okay. John Werlow wrote a book called Built to Sell. And I'm not saying that any of you want to sell your business right now. It's not the point. The point is building a business that is sellable and can operate without you so that if you take a vacation or you're injured, that you have a business that operates within the framework without the owner to be there to orchestrate everything in the business. And so that changed my entire mindset. Now my SOPs have changed throughout the years. It started with me literally just sitting down at my computer and hitting record on a Loom and just talking about, as I'm doing my admin projects, just recording what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So that when I hired an assistant, her name was Meredith. I could hand all my videos over to Meredith. Meredith then created the SOP so that when we were ready to upgrade from a VA to an operations manager here, she was able to take all her SOPs and hand them to our operations manager. Since then, Victoria, my operations manager, has redone those SOPs again and up leveled them again. So just start where you are at today. Hit record, talk about what you're doing and
Yeah.
why you're doing it.
Yes. Love that. That's such great tangible advice. People can take that and really run with it. Wow. So great. I'm excited about this. Well, so people are oftentimes either overwhelmed or underwhelmed at bookkeeping. And I would love it if you'd go through a little bit deeper analysis of what a bookkeeper does for small business. And then also give us the difference between a bookkeeper and an accountant, because I think a lot of people don't know that.
Oh my God, it's so funny because I had no idea how many terms there was to describe the same few jobs. um,
Yeah.
okay, so there's four people that I actually want you to have on your money team.
Okay.
And it all starts with bookkeeping. So your most important player is your bookkeeper. Your bookkeeper is the person who is keeping track and organizing all of the things that already happened. So you, the business owner, and your team are out making money, spending money, you're running the business, you're doing the thing. The bookkeeper is in the background, taking all that information and organizing it within QuickBooks Online or whatever accounting software you might be using. They are behind the scenes keeping that organized. A great bookkeeper is also sending you financial statements, a CEO dashboard, helping answer your questions, giving you that next level of information. They're helping you understand the numbers throughout the year So you're making confident business decisions. Next is our tax accountant. And these are the two that people are most familiar with. Your tax accountant, their only job really is to perform the tax return. They are not there to give you business advice. They're not there to answer your business questions. They're not there to help you understand the income statement or the balance sheet. That's your bookkeeper, your CFO. Your tax accountant's job is to take the information that your bookkeeper already prepared and to file the tax return. And you want these people to be different people because you want them to be able to have a checks and balance. Tax accountants love to say things like, you have too much profit. It's December. You need to go spend some money. And us as bookkeepers are like, whoa, hold on. Wait. Does that align with your goals? Like, where are you going? We had a client who did that. And then she was opening up a location in March and she spent all of her profits. She had no money to open up her store. She had to take on a bunch of debt.
No, sad face.
Yes. So we have our bookkeeping team who sits separately from our tax team. They work together, but they're sit separately so that they can have their separate focuses. The third person you want in your money team is your financial advisor. This is the person who is looking at both your personal finances and your business finances. They're helping you plan for the future, plan for retirement, looking to the future of the bigger picture outside of just your business and helping you manage those investments. So that's your financial advisor. That's a separate person. And the fourth person we need is either a CFO or a business coach. We need somebody to have a support. Your bookkeeper looks backwards. Your CFO looks forward. So they're the person who's helping you budget, reforecast, think about paying down debt. Like they're taking you into the future and planning for your goals. And your bookkeeper is looking backwards. So a lot of times when we work with our clients, they'll be a bookkeeping client for some time until they understand how to look at the numbers. And then they'll say, now I'm ready to plan. Now I'm ready to create a budget. I'm ready.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love that you qualified that the CFO could also be a business coach. And that is just such an attainable thing for a small business owner to think, I can't have a CFO. It's just me. Like, I can't afford that. Right. But imagining that you could meet once a month or even once a quarter with a business focused coach who is going to help you look forward at regular intervals. That's just so smart. Love that. So what is the bookkeeper doing? Because this is the one you're going to have the regular contact with. They might even become your friend. I've delivered several bookkeepers babies because
I love that.
They work for me and then they're like, oh, we should go with you. And I was like, you should. So, what is the bookkeeper doing on the regular basis? You might see them 2 hours a month. You might see them more depending on the size of your business. It might all be online and you have, some Zoom chats or Looms as they are coming through now. But tell us, what are they doing for you?
I'll tell you what we do for our clients. So when we onboard with a client, we take all of their information and load it into QuickBooks. So we'll create what's called a bank feed. So QuickBooks is always pulling in your transactions into QuickBooks. So we as bookkeepers are going in and organizing those transactions and putting them in the right spot on the income statement. Think about a puzzle, okay? You as a business owner, you're just going to get an income statement balance sheet at the end of the month. You're going to get a financial statement. That's a finished puzzle. The bookkeeper has been working on this 1,000-piece puzzle behind the scenes. They're putting all those little pieces together.
Great
right?
analogy. Yeah.
So they're putting it all together for you. For our clients, when they hear from us, we really try to take it off of our clients' plate. So we actually don't want you to spend very much time with us. We are sending our clients a set of ask client questions at the end of the month. So hey, you spent money at someplace new. What is this contractor doing for you? I saw a deposit. What is that deposit for? So we're sending ask client questions at the end of the month. This month, we're sending all of our clients their personal expenses and owner's draws to review before tax season. Every month, we theme how we are reviewing information with our clients. In February, every single one of our clients are going to receive their subscriptions. So where did you spend money in operating and marketing subscriptions last year? And then we ask for feedback about do you need to keep those subscriptions in your business? When's the last time you looked? Sometimes we do debt. Let's review all of the debt you have in your business and what's the plan to pay it off. So every month we theme what we're going to send our clients. So your bookkeeper should have some questions for you. They should be requesting statements from you. And then from there, we send our clients their financial statements. We send it via the snapshot. So say CEO dashboard, high level overview. Here's your revenue. Here's where you spent money. Here's your tax reserve, your cash flow. Like, here's a big picture of everything that happened. And then depending on the client's package, they get to meet with us via Zoom, either once a month or once a quarter. And that length of time depends on which package they're on. So it's either 60 minutes, 30 minutes, or 30 minutes per quarter. So your bookkeeper should be answering any questions that come up. They should be sending you your financials. They should be getting on a call with you to answer any questions that you have, just to walk you through the numbers. And here's I think some underlying gold. You said this, that you ended up delivering your bookkeeper's babies, right? And the reason that you can do that is because your bookkeeper should be somebody who is celebrating your wins with you and is there for you during times that you need support. And not all bookkeepers do that. Not all CPAs do that, but we have a really unique team that our team is so excited to be able to be there for our clients.
You're like
Celebrate.
midwives.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, we're midwives for financials.
Yes, I love it. I think you should own that word.
I think I'm going to.
Because it's so great. I'm a midwife for your books. It's so great. Well, I really love that personal aspect too. And I think this is the scale or the tripwire of like whether it's really good or not. And that is like someone who is willing to like get in the muck with you, sort it out, celebrate it when you're winning, and really like support you when you're challenged. And I've worked with a lot of bookkeepers over the years. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years now, and various different businesses, various different locations. And yeah, there's a really big difference when you get one who is the right fit. Do you have any questions that you could give midwives for like questions to ask when you're interviewing bookkeepers?
The first one is going to be really soft, I guess is the right word, like vague, is there a personality match? What are their core values? What is the brand? Who is the business owner? We have this issue in the accounting industry where it's not actually a very sexy industry to go into. So we have less and less people going into to receive their CPA, and a lot of tax accountants are aging out and going into retirement. And we've had so many discovery calls recently. My tax accountant just retired, no notice, and just retired. My bookkeeper just decided to dissolve their business. Bench, a major player in the industry, closed their doors on December 27th. They were bought out afterwards, but just contacted 30,000 business owners and said, you don't have support anymore. Go figure it out.
Wow.
So where is, you're doing business with another business. And so where's that business going? So for Kickstart, we've been in business for 9 years. We have a passion for serving our community and helping you, right? It's not about just doing the tax return. We plan on being here. We're not going to sell to private equity because accounting's sexy in the private equity industry right now. We're going to stay onshore, right? Like those things that are important to you, you need to make sure that you're choosing a vendor that has the core values that match yours.
So smart. Yeah. Because ultimately it is the relationship. And midwives are kind of experts at relationship development. That's what we do in the 9 months prior to delivery. We sit and like make friends essentially. Yeah. And when you're talking about the health of your business, when you're talking about your own financial liquidity, when you're talking about the ability for you to retire or take vacation or do the things that like we should be focusing on, you want someone in your corner who believes in you and has those core values. Like you said, that's so, so important. Okay. I guess the next kind of component that I wanted to jump into is I do kind of want to paint a picture, like, what are you afraid of when midwives don't avail themselves of this very important colleague, team member? What are some of the things that can go terribly wrong if you don't have a bookkeeper?
Yeah. So we had a client who came to us last year, and she said to me, I've been doing my own bookkeeping, and I'm doing a really good job. And I think I'm pretty good at it, but my business is growing and I think I need to get this off my plate. And we're like, yeah, of course, let's do it. During onboarding, we always do a review of what's in QuickBooks to start. The client had been matching payments to invoices incorrectly, and there was an issue with the sync, and her sales were duplicated. And QuickBooks Online, for as great as it is, does have some issues with their syncing from time to time. And we as accountants will catch that when we do a reconciliation. but most people don't know how to do reconciliation and check for unclear transactions. And she had all these transactions duplicated. And I felt so bad that we had to tell her that not only was her bookkeeping wrong and that she wasn't doing a great job, but she also needed to amend 3 years worth of tax returns. And when she amended her returns, it ended up costing her about $10,000 in taxes. And she had to pay interest and penalties. So it's real money. People say, I can't afford a bookkeeper. I'm like, but how do you afford not to have a bookkeeper? There's two things guaranteed in life. We're going to pay taxes and we're going to die. We're going to pay taxes. And so when we pay taxes, let's pay taxes on the right amount. And then we talked about the time earlier, right? So I want to hit on both of those because they both can cost you a lot of money. They're costing you money in your tax accurate. You're making business decisions throughout the year. What if you didn't hire that admin person because you didn't think you could afford it, but really your financials were just wrong? Like your numbers were wrong and you could have afforded it 8 months ago. We had a client who wasn't hiring because she thought she couldn't afford it. When we gave her accurate financials, she's like, oh my God, I could have gotten help so much longer. Like I'm dying and I could have had help months ago. So business decisions that you're making, and then your time is worth money. And what we hear from people is, I'll spend my Sunday mornings or I'll spend, my one day off getting some bookkeeping done, and go spend that time with your freaking family. Go for a walk, take yourself out for a cup of coffee. Why are you doing it? Spending time doing your bookkeeping? Like how irritating that that's what you're spending your free time on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually disrespectful to yourself. And I think this has to be said. Like we have to go a little bit into the personal growth aspect of this. If you aren't going to prioritize your own health and happiness, how on earth can you prioritize other people that come to you for services? We really are an example. And I think there's something to be said about coming to a prenatal visit and seeing a calm, composed midwife who's got plenty of time for you, right? As opposed to a stressed out, hold on, I'll be right with you, and like running around. Like, who wants to be taken care of by that person? So like investing in your free time is actually a gift and makes you a better provider.
I love that you just said that because I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you want to have that calm energy. And we do that by not having so much on our plate. Take off the superhero cape, right? Yeah. Leave your ego at the door. You don't have to be the one to do it to know where your money is going. Level up, right? Like we can level up, take some of those hats off and go do what you're good at and what you love doing. Like how amazing does that sound? Like you only have to do the one task that you're good at and you love doing. How freeing.
It's like a dream, right? Yeah. Like a dream. Well, one of the last points I want to make is how important bookkeepers can be for midwives in fraud protection. And so this is a huge subject. We're not going to be able to go deep into it tonight or today or whatever time it is on whatever planet. But what I can say is, having owned businesses with multiple different types of employees over the years, I have been the victim of fraud several times. Like the simple definition of fraud is basically that people find a way to take advantage of you or steal from you. And when it's your money, it's fraud, right? And so I just want to say, in all but one case, that fraud was caught by my bookkeeper. And I was too busy running a business and being a midwife to have caught that for maybe years that would have gone on. And embezzlement or little stealing is really easy at some points. I know it seems like I'm keeping track of it, but we all know how busy midwives are. And a lot of clients pay in cash, or a lot of times there is a request for one person to be doing accounts receivable and accounts payable because you can't pay everyone. And like, there are just all these opportunities, the petty cash drawer, the cash payments, whatever. I just can't emphasize enough how lucky I've been to have midwives on my side catching those real challenges. And I would hate for other midwives to go through that and not find out for a year or two down the line, which totally happens. We're talking about people stealing little bits from you so you don't quite notice it. And it happens more often than people know in small business.
It really does happen. It can happen internally from your team. So if you have internal people who have access to things, having that bookkeeper as a third party to be able to see the details and to bring that to your attention. We actually had a client who somebody was writing checks from her account and they just were odd amounts at odd times. And you could see it in the income statement. So as our bookkeeper was watching the income statement, we're like, that just doesn't feel right. And our team is trained to be able to say, like, what do these financials mean to this business owner? So we were looking at it to be able to speak to that client. So on the call that we had with them, we pulled up the income statement. And we said, hey, this doesn't feel right. And the client said, that's not me.
Oh.
So she had no idea. And actually, because she had us, I think she was paying less attention to her financials.
Yeah. Yeah, which can happen.
Yeah. So it was, she was so thankful that we were able to bring that to her attention. But checks and balance in continuing education and in this industry, we're talking about it all the time. How do you have enough checks and balance within our firms and within our companies to make sure that no one person has too much control?
Yeah. And it can also happen from outside. I had an erroneous charge of like Pizza Bell and pizza, I don't know, Taco Bell, something like some $90 charge for a Taco Bell or something. Like definitely was not a business charge. But like when the account has 500 transactions a month, you don't catch those ones that don't have anything to do with you. And so again, bookkeeper catches these things and it just makes all the difference. So
yeah, it really does.
I'm so excited that you're doing what you're doing. I'm so excited that you have space in your business to support my midwife friends and their businesses. That just makes me so happy. Do you have any last pieces of advice or words of wisdom or like little bells you want to ring for this community?
Hire before you're ready.
Ooh.
I made the mistake. I hear it all the time from business owners, and I'm not just saying bookkeepers, I'm saying whatever it might be. That prickly thing that you're putting off that you don't want to do, get it off your plate now. Get it off your plate. Owning a business is this really amazing thing. It's the hardest and most rewarding thing outside of having my children that I've ever had the opportunity of doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's great.
We can make it a little bit easier. Like we are in control, for crying out loud. We're in control of this and we can take off the superhero cape, leave the ego at the door and get some help.
Yes, I love that. I think it was Marcus Buckingham who said, our weaknesses are what make us feel weak and our strengths are what make us feel strong. And I think this is a great little bellwether for you to check in with yourself. You might be able to get good at it, but if it makes you feel weak after you're done doing a day of bookkeeping, it's not for you, right? We are only supposed to do the things that make us feel strong and alive. And for some people, that's not yours. And for other people, it's really not. And so that is a lovely segue. Thank you so much, Danielle. I so appreciate you being willing to come in and talk to us for all this time and tell us these little secrets and just, encourage my community. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to be here. I love what you guys are doing. Thank you for giving this gift. And I'm here cheering you on.
Oh, so great. So where can people follow you? Where can they get in touch with you? How do they reach out?
Go to kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift. We actually have a download there where you can learn how to pay yourself more as a business owner. So kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift. I'd love to chat with you. So you can book a call to learn more about how Kickstart helps business owners. And we can talk about your specific situation. So kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift. And then we do have our podcast, Business by the Books. So if this is a topic where you're like, I don't know what to do with these numbers, talk about every single week on how to use your numbers to manage and grow your business.
So awesome. We're going to put all those links in the show notes. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.